I still remember the exact sound the rain made hitting the casket that day, soft at first, then angry. Like the sky itself was furious. We dared to put my son in the ground. My name is Eleanor Hayes. For 34 years David was my whole world. His father passed when David was 12. After that it was just us against everything. I cleaned houses, waited tables, tutored nights, whatever it took so he could have books, soccer cleats, college applications. When he graduated law school magna cum laude, I stood in the back row sobbing so hard a stranger handed me tissues. Then he met Sophia at a charity gala. She was 27, elegant, quick with a smile, called me Mama Ellie from day one. Their wedding was small but perfect, white roses everywhere, David looking at her like she hung the moon. I gave her the sapphire earrings my mother wore on her own wedding day. She cried and said, "I've never had a real mother before. Thank you for being mine." We all moved into the big craftsman house on Maple Lane that David and I had restored together over 10 years. There was space for grandchildren, holiday dinners, Sunday brunches. For 6 years we were happy, truly, deeply happy. I thought we had built something unbreakable, until the diagnosis, pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. David was 30-3. The next 19 months were a slow-motion nightmare. I practically lived at the hospital. I learned every nurse's name, memorized the cafeteria menu, kept a blanket and pillow in the car. Sophia came most days. In the beginning, she'd hold his hand, bring him smoothies, post filtered photos with captions like fighting together. But I started noticing the little things you can't unnotice. The long bathroom breaks that turned into hallway phone calls, the new lingerie I found in the laundry that clearly wasn't for hospital visits, the way her eyes lit up when a notification pinged the same way they used to light up only for David. I told myself grief makes people strange. I told myself I was being paranoid. My boy was dying. The last thing he needed was his mother starting a war with his wife. So I stayed quiet. I smiled. I prayed. The morning he slipped away, the room smelled like antiseptic and lilies. He opened his eyes one last time, looked right at me, and whispered, "Mum, don't let anyone steal our home, promise." I promised through choking sobs. Sophia stood by the window staring at her phone. No tears, no trembling, just stillness. The funeral was beautiful in the cruelest way. White roses again, hundreds of people. Everyone told me how strong I was. I felt like paper about to tear. Sophia wore huge black sunglasses and kept checking the time. After the last condolence, we drove home in silence. I thought we'd sit together, light a candle, remember him. Instead, the moment the front door closed behind us, she turned with a face I had never seen before. "Ellie," she said, calm as glass, "I need you to leave." I laughed, a broken, confused sound. "What?" "David's gone. I can't live in a museum of him anymore. Ethan is coming tonight. Your things are already boxed. They're on the driveway." Ethan, the colleague she'd been venting to for months. The one whose name appeared on her lock screen at 2 a.m. while David slept 10 feet away. Before I could speak, she started pulling framed photos off the walls. David's law degree, our Christmas mornings, the picture of him kissing my cheek at his graduation and dropping them into cardboard boxes like they were trash. She dragged the boxes outside into the pouring rain. My entire life, every memory of my only child, lay soaked and ruined on the concrete. I stood frozen on the porch in my black dress, rain plastering my hair to my face, watching the woman I had loved like a daughter erase me from my own home. Neighbors' porch lights flicked on, curtains moved, and in that moment of total humiliation and heartbreak, something cold and certain clicked inside me. I had kept one small thing hidden through all those hospital nights, one thing that was about to change the next. 2 minutes forever. The rain kept coming down in sheets, but I barely felt it anymore. Sophia stood in the doorway, arms folded, looking through me like I was already gone. "This is my house," I said, voice shaking. "David and I paid for it. The deed has always been in my name." She gave a short, sharp laugh. "Community, property, Ellie. I spoke to a lawyer 3 months ago. Half is mine. You have until tomorrow to be out or I'll have the sheriff help you." 3 months ago, while David was still begging for another week, another day, that was when the memories I had forced down rose up like bile. The night I walked past their bedroom and heard her whisper into the phone, "Soon, Ethan. The second he's gone, we list the house. Ellie can go to assisted living or whatever, I don't care anymore." I had stood in the dark hallway, phone already recording because some animal instinct knew I would need proof later. I told myself I'd never use it. I was wrong. I tried one last time to reach her. "Sophia, we buried him today. Can we at least wait until the flowers die? Just grieve together." She rolled her eyes, actually rolled them. Grieve. I've been grieving for almost 2 years while you played martyr. I'm 30, Ellie. I want to live. Ethan wants to live. You're a walking reminder of death. Every syllable cut deeper than the last. I had driven her to hair appointments, cooked her favorite meals when she was too stressed, defended her when David's friends whispered she seemed distant. I had opened my arms and my home, and this was the thanks. She turned and started hauling more boxes, his childhood baseball trophies, the quilt I hand-stitched for their first anniversary, even the ceramic handprint he made in kindergarten. Everything hit the wet driveway with dull thuds. I dropped to my knees in the mud and tried to gather the sodden photos before the colors bled away forever. My hands shook so violently I could barely hold them. Mrs. Patel from across the street opened her door but didn't come out. She just watched, hand over her mouth. That was the exact moment grief cracked open and rage poured in. I stood slowly, rain streaming down my face, and looked straight into her eyes. You were waiting for him to die. She didn't even blink. Smart women plan. You should have tried it. I slipped my phone from my coat pocket. The recording was already cued. I didn't play it yet. I wanted her to feel perfectly safe for 60 more seconds. The same safety she had stolen from my son while he was dying. Inside me something shifted from shattered to steel, I remembered. Every night I sat vigil while she was at yoga. Every time she told David the cancer was partly his fault for working too hard. Every promise I made to my dying boy that I would be okay right there. On that flooded driveway, I decided I would keep every single promise. Sophia turned to go back inside to wait for Ethan. She actually flicked her hand at me like I was a stray cat. Don't forget to lock up when you leave. New locks tomorrow. That was when the 2-minute clock in my head started. I pressed play. My voice faint, recorded months earlier, filled the rainy night. Sophia's voice crystal clear. Ethan, the moment David's gone, we're selling this place. Ellie can figure out her own life. She's been dragging us down long enough. Sophia froze mid-step on the porch. The blood drained from her face so fast I thought she might collapse. I turned the volume all the way up. The recording kept going, her laughing about the realtor she'd already contacted, the papers she'd prepared just in case, the way she'd described me to Ethan, poor sad widow who won't let go. Every vicious word rang across the street. Exactly 2 minutes, a silver sedan pulled up slowly. My attorney, Margaret Voss, stepped out holding a leather folder. Behind her, 2 police cruisers parked quietly at the curb. Mrs. Hayes. Margaret called, loud enough for the whole block to hear. Probate was filed this morning per David's final instructions. The house, accounts, and all assets remain solely in your name. Any claim of community property is invalid due to documented infidelity and attempted fraud. Sophia's mouth worked, but no sound came out. Ethan arrived at that precise moment, black BMW, duffel bag in hand, big grin like he'd hit the jackpot. Then he heard my phone, still playing the recording on speaker. The grin vanished. He actually took a step backward. One officer approached. Ma'am, we have a complaint of unlawful eviction and trespass. You and your guest need to vacate the property immediately. Sophia finally found words, shrill, panicked. This is my house. David and I. Margaret cut in smoothly. The will and titles say otherwise. You have 25 minutes to remove personal belongings or we will remove them for you. Neighbors were recording now, phones up, flashes in the rain. The audio looped again. Sophia looked at me with real tears for the first time. Ellie, please, we can work this out. I looked at the woman who had called me Mama Ellie for 6 years, who had sat beside my son's bed scrolling Tinder, who had waited for him to die so she could throw me away. No, I said softly. We can't. Ethan was already jogging to his car, muttering he didn't sign up for this mess. Sophia tried to follow, but the officers stepped between them. In the end, she left with one small suitcase and the clothes she was wearing, nothing else. The driveway was still covered in my ruined memories, but those could be saved, reprinted. The house, David's last gift, his last way of protecting me, was mine again. That night, I sat on the wet porch steps holding the only photo I could rescue in time. David at 9, gap-toothed grin, arms around my neck. I spoke to him like he could hear me. I kept my promise, sweetheart. I'm still here. The house felt quiet for the first time in years. No more secret calls. No more cold glances. Just the gentle creak of floors that remembered my boy's footsteps. Sophia tried calling the next morning, voicemails begging, promising to split fairly, offering apologies. I never answered. Within weeks, word spread through her office. The recording somehow reached her team chat. She lost her job. Ethan disappeared. Last I heard she was staying in a budget motel on the edge of town. Reputation in ashes. I stayed. I replanted the rose bushes David loved. Every evening I sit on that porch with a cup of tea and feel something close to peace. If you're hearing this, and someone has broken your heart in your darkest moment, listen to what David taught me in his final days. Real love doesn't wait for someone to leave this earth. Real love guards what's precious even when it costs everything. Sometimes justice doesn't take years. Sometimes it arrives in 2 quiet minutes, and when it does, you discover you were never truly broken, only waiting to stand up again. Thank you for sitting with me through this. If my story touched something inside you, go hold the person who still chooses you every day. And never forget, a mother's promise outlives every betrayal. Good night, my friends. Sleep gently.